name's Michaela. I'm a mechatronics engineer, and I've actually been going to hardware meetup events since I was 15. I think it's when they started, so kind of fun to be emceeing now. So put up your hand if you've been to a hardware meetup before. Oh, quite a lot. Awesome, more than half, that's pretty exciting. So for those of you who haven't been before, so we've been running these since 2016, and we're all about bringing people together to showcase some amazing companies in different areas of the hardware space. So tonight, the format, we will be having 2 speakers. Each one will be half an hour each. The first 15 minutes will be us just having a bit of a chat and me asking questions, and then the other 15 minutes we'll open up the floor to all of you to ask some questions to our amazing speakers. So we have 2 speakers tonight. Between our 2 speakers, there'll be an opportunity for anyone to pitch about anything you want for a minute. You can pitch anything. We've had people that have gotten jobs or new employees. Yes, if you have something that you need help with, or you think others might find interesting as well, like even an idea, come up and have a talk. So we couldn't do this event without our amazing sponsors. So first up, we have Blackbird Ventures. They're an Australasian venture capital firm. Anyone from Blackbird here tonight? Hands up. Never mind. We also have Blender. I have definitely seen some people here from Blender wearing their shirts. They do product design. They're a product design and development company. So Blender people, hands up. There we go. So go have a chat to them tonight. And then we also have Hudson Gavin Martin, which are a specialist technology law firm, and they support plenty of hardware companies. So we have 2 people from there tonight. Hands up, please. Awesome. So go have a chat with them as well. And then last of all, we have Outset, which is the space. We're in Outset Ventures. So they are the largest deep tech working space in New Zealand. Co-working space in New Zealand, and they're always on the lookout for new companies to move in if anyone here is interested. So if you're interested in desk space or want to learn more about the space, talk to someone in the Outset team. Over here we have David, and he'll give a talk later about Outset during the pitches. But first of all, we have Fiona from Korowai. Welcome.
Thank you for having me tonight. It's a great opportunity to come to to meet some great hardware people like mine. Thank you.
So first of all, tell us about what you do.
So firstly, I have to say kia ora. I'm Fiona Taimana, and we're actually a Māori enterprise, Korowai. You may think Korowai, but Korowai is our name. I co-founded Korowai with my husband John, who's over there. And we are creating wearable tech garments that provide comfort, and we're in the R&D stage, so very early stage, but in saying that, we have been going for a few years, as you know, the R&D journey, and I'm very passionate about customers, so that's why it's taking slightly longer, because we're iterating quite a few times with that product, so yeah. Now this is Cora. She's a toy poodle, and essentially, she's our inspiration in that when we discovered our technology, it's using leading technology that replicates the feeling of touch. And it's an emerging tech, and at the moment we're filing our provisional patent, so I can't tell you in great detail how it all works. But essentially, when we looked at how we could use that technology to provide comfort, it was about the time COVID happened, and we joined thousands of people and got ourselves a COVID puppy. And so I'm sitting here looking at this tech, and my dog is shaking and losing it each time I put her in the car. And then I started to look at it and say, well, actually, this looks like pets could be an opportunity for, a comfort device. So in essence, that's sort of where we started our first prototype or our first product. The main reason for that is really, I don't know how many dog owners are in the room. Can I have a show of hands? Yeah. Okay, so dogs are just not just dogs. They are part of your family. They require love and attention, and often quite a lot of investment from time to time. So what our whole mission really is to solve that problem of dog anxiety through creating a wearable device that the owners can use to help calm their dog. Really, our whole mission is to provide comfort through connectivity, but doing it in a personalised manner so that you can choose the level of comfort that's relevant to your dog and also to help you calm. We're very mindful that hardware tends to live in isolation of people, and our whole essence, part of the way that we're set up with our Māori kaupapa is about keeping a holistic approach, right? As saying, well, it's not just about the dog. I'm the owner and I'm freaking out right now. So how can we work together? How can we humanize and connect with others when we're not necessarily next to them? And so that's really a big thing for us. It's about how do we connect? And I think COVID really showed us all of that, right? When you've got family overseas and you can't get to them. And so you find you might buy a dog so that you can have a friend. I don't know. So, yeah, so that's really where our product came from. And, you know, when we started to dive into sort of the whole concept of pet anxiety, we realized there's actually like 100 million dogs in America alone. And that the whole pet market is roughly about $320 billion worldwide. So we're very much about going global. We're very passionate about taking our New Zealand tech out to the world. And I'll sort of touch on that probably a bit more, but that's sort of, our dog is sort of where all of this started, really. Yeah.
That's so wholesome. So I get you have all your patents and stuff, but would you mind explaining a bit about like the product in the sense of like what exactly it is?
Yeah.
Like, because there's like an app.
Yeah,
and yeah.
sure. So if you skip a slide or so actually just 1 in 5 dogs actually has anxiety. And the first thing we did, as I said, I'm a marketer at heart, so we went out and spoke to a lot of customers before we decided to go ahead. And actually go one more. Yeah, what we did was we said, okay, anyone who's starting a new product generally doesn't make it look that flash initially, right? So what we did was we purchased some commercial collars for dogs in the forms of harness. This is just an example of one. And we took our technology and decided to sort of pimp out the collar, if you like. Few wires, you know, but the dog wasn't at risk. So we put the collar onto the wire, and we basically connect the collar through the mobile phone, which allows us to turn up or dial down the frequency intensity of the feeling of touch. So when we were speaking to our customers initially, they're like, hey, that's really cool. Can you tell me where it is? Can you tell me when my dog runs off so I can find it? Will you tell me if it's stressed? Will you tell me what its heart rate is? So you can imagine the conversation then became more about the person holding the phone than possibly the connection to the dog itself. So what that said to us is the community that can be connected through developing the app that controls the product is also a great opportunity for us. So the garment itself, as I said, we're using quite leading technology to replicate the feeling of touch. It sort of tried a few things in the space of haptics and so on, but we're now confident that, well, we work very closely with a vet behaviourist, so I can assure you Cora hasn't been harmed. She's a very good model for testing the anxiety on, and I'm pleased to say that it works very well on her.
Sorry, could I ask, so
yeah.
Kora, like,
Kora is our dog.
Is that where Korowai comes from?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So at this point, the product itself is with our vet, and she's testing it on some of her problem dogs, and we've had really good feedback, so yeah.
Awesome, cool. What is the future shaping up to look like, and like, what are you pushing towards with this so far?
Yeah, so do you want to go to the queue? What? So when people, the big challenge you have is what is the perception of a pet wearable, right? And the current pet wearables in the market in the world generally revolve around shock collars, okay? So not so cool. But a lot of people use them to train their dogs by shocking them, which is not an optimal experience. And then the other emerging use of any pet wearable is, I don't know if you've seen these collars that can track your dog's movement with accelerometers and so on. So they make up the majority of pet tech-embedded pet wearables at this time. But this graph sort of shows you that the growth, I think the current market is about 3.4 billion, but it's growing higher than other pet products in marketplace. And so what we're looking to do, if you go to the next slide, we've looked at the global market for pet products. Overall, as I mentioned, currently it's about 320 billion. Dogs account for 39% of that spend, so that's quite a hefty amount. What we've found is obviously the States is the largest market, so we're looking to probably start there, but I know that's not quite so simple as it's said, but also to Asia Pacific is the highest growth market. So when you go to Asia, there's a lot of small dogs who are kept in apartments, and there's a very keen uptake on anything techie in that part of the world. So what we're looking at now is sort of establishing or deciding which market of those that we're looking to go into. But obviously before that, it's really about finalising the MVP, or we're at prototype stage at this moment and doing our testing to basically get the vet validation of the product. So, you know, we don't want to sort of make claim to something that doesn't have good research behind it. So we have an independent vet behaviourist who is basically testing it and creating a research paper at this time for us.
Cool.
Because I'm sure that some dogs will behave differently, so we're just testing that. So, yeah. So, the next step really is to file the patent, get the testing results, and then create the product and the brand around the product. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's like, it's so nice how you're like using like tech in a way like to like focus on like helping support the dog rather than like necessarily like controlling it.
Yeah.
So that's really, really nice because there's not many things like that in this space at the moment.
No. There's I don't know if any of you have heard of a product called the Thunder Shirt, some dog owners. So there's this guy in America, when it was the 14th of July, I think, you know, when they let all the fireworks off, it's a brilliant time for dogs to really get very distressed. So he actually designed a fabric swaddle, and he would just literally wrap this dog around in the swaddle, Velcro it in. Anyway, the Americans bought millions of them, and they still do. So that's an example of a wearable, if you like, but without the tech. So when we try and explain it to people, it's a dog wearable. It's kind of like you know, at least there has been a product in market that you know people pay for already, and I think that's quite an important thing. Is when you come up with a great idea, you actually know that someone actually might buy it. That's fairly important, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite popular in America. You said, is that kind of part of why you want to go into that market first?
Yes. I mean, the other piece is there's an education piece with something like this, you know. So you're either going to buy it through a trusted vet referral, or otherwise, you know, if you know that the Thunder Shirt kind of works, I think it just immobilises the dog personally, so it can't move. But, you know, so there's sort of, I think it helps if something's been before you to sort of carve a little bit of a way, so that then you can carve your own way over that, really. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a pretty good way to test that out. Okay, my last question. Do you need any help from the audience?
Well, you know, so our journey has been very much bootstrapped. So I have a day job, and so we're at the point. It's a sort of a point where you can bootstrap for so long, and then you go, actually, I really want to do this a bit more. So we're at the point where we're raising seed funding through friends and family to just tip us over to that point where we can get our MVP really polished to get commercial traction, and then do our VC raise, probably for our production line. So if anyone is keen to know more from myself or from John about being part of, the crowdfunding dog lovers pet company, please make yourself known. That's really key to us at this time. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, Fiona. So now we can open the floor to questions. So I'm going to go and David is going to go hand out the mic.
Although I do have a question for you already. Is it the pet that's got the anxiety, or is it the owner?
Well, that's the big question, right?
Yeah.
Do I ask my friends over there? Yeah, bit of both.
Yeah.
It's funny because when you get a dog and you've never had one before, there's that whole, how long do I leave it? How do I train
Yeah.
it? So, yeah, it's a bit of both, I
Yep.
think.
I guess the other question also, could it be used on kids as well?
Yeah, I know that's the thing. When we developed it, actually, we were looking more at the aged care market. People who have dementia have real disconnection, and it's really, so that's really where because it came from my study, so when we were looking and researching the different applications, that actually came up, as well as sort of anxious children as well.
Yep. Yep.
So we went dogs. It's a little bit easier to
Right.
start with.
Questions?
My study finding with individual lasted 5,000 minutes on babies.
Yeah, so
Cool. Any questions?
So you're talking about getting the vets onboarded and that sort of thing. Can you talk to sort of what evidence vets are looking for? Like, do you have to go down the clinical trial sort of route, or is it more building data and showing the sort of outputs of the data and what you can do with it?
yeah, so the question was around vets. So our vet firstly helped us develop the product because you have to have quite a good physiology understanding of where to put the put the actual, to focus the attention of the device, but also to her whole network and contacts are important to us. So she's currently testing, so through our discussion with her, what came through is the heart rate and the stress levels need to be evaluated. So we call it a test as opposed to a clinical trial, because we've still got the control group and then the dogs, so the dogs without the device and how they behave, the dogs with the device and how they behave. So one part is observations, and the second part is the heart rate and the cortisol level measurement, which can be done with a swab in the mouth of the dog. So she's starting to track that, and from there, we've sort of got 3 phases to the testing: the small dogs, medium dogs, large dogs, and then probably how hairy they are or not, because obviously, who'd have thought? But, the smaller dogs are quite sensitive to the response, whereas the bigger ones can be, different. So a bit of behaviour in that some dogs also shake, some bark, some just get overexcited. So different breeds display different forms. So it's a combination of measures and observation. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Anyone else? Yep. Oh, looks like Elise.
Hello. Are these on?
Yeah, it's on. It's recording.
Oh, cool. My question is, so where is it pressing on the dog?
Well, it's a little bit like that, isn't it? So there are certain pressure points on the dog that respond to the touch, and that's what causes the anxiety. There's several places. I don't know if probably go into great deal. I think those who own a dog know that pretty much where you stroke it most frequently.
So it's like the
does
stroke
help.
spots are being
Yeah.
like pressed, right?
Yeah, except not the paws.
Right.
So that there's probably about 5 or 6 different pressure points, and so we're testing sort of 2 different places at the moment, and probably the most obvious one is just at the back. Yeah.
Okay, next question is, how do you get the vet to do this trial? Like, are they an investor or they're
No,
just going, or are you paying?
She's just like, vets genuinely want to make dogs happy. She's the most wonderful woman. There's a big community called Fear Free, and they're a global community of vets. And the most anxiety they get is seeing the dogs anxious just coming in to visit them. So for her, she wants to give it to them when they first get into the vet, when they're losing it as you hand them over. I don't know if some of you know, some vets, some dogs just walk right in, others start in the car park trembling because they know that something's going to happen to them when they go into the vet. So she's got several motivations. One is to just be good to animals. Second is to reduce vet anxiety in clinic. And then also to pre- and post-operative care. The dogs can get quite distressed. So she's like, if we can get this to do that there, then it would be really great to also do it here and to do it here. And that's the beauty of working with either, you know, I call them B2B, you know, a business partner, because they're always giving you feedback, as well as her being the conduit to the customers and using her experience to help us build where we start, really.
Do you want to go first? Just curious, because I know that the human aspect is quite important for dogs. So I was just wondering, is there a particular time where they become desensitized to the device? Because, you know, over time, they want the human touch rather than the device. So I was just wondering, have you found it in your test that they start to become desensitized over time?
What we've found initially has been that when you put the device on, they get calm and they actually get more used. So, for example, in a car, when I put the dog in the device, it calms down immediately. And then when you turn it off, they kind of look at you like, what's going on here? And you put it on and they settle again. But what happens is they get comfort from just the familiarity of the device, and they need it almost less because they kind of, it desensitizes them to their environmental stressor. I think it's, yeah, I mean, that's what we're learning, really.
Actually, that's a pretty good answer for my follow-up question in this regard, because I was just thinking, and probably was in your thought process as well, negative conditioning, that the dogs will actually get more and more anxious because they're craving those cuddles, and so thereby not losing their traits. But when you're saying just putting on this, and it's actually the desensitization, that they don't pay so much attention to the environment, might not be the case, but I guess as a caring
Yeah.
dog owner, you looked into this, and what's your vet stand on it?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think that's just really why we want to keep the vigorous testing process going, really. Because what we've done is we've done a few dogs, and now we're moving into our user groups where we'll get more people using them in situ, and I think that's when we'll start to get more of, I mean, there's always going to be outliers, obviously, so it's just a case of how do we manage that, and how do we put controls in the device for it to not be abused, you know. Totally
And now
agree.
that you're just saying the outliers, that would have been the next question, like how you're going to address different dog sizes, breeds, how will the owner know how to adjust it accordingly?
Yeah. So what we're planning to do from the research is to understand the parameters for the different dog sizes. Through the app, the goal is to, once you load in the size or breed, at that point it will put some parameters in there. And then in the long term, we're hoping to sort of get that self-learning going from the feedback that's provided from the device, as to, you know, the heart rate response for different things. So, yeah, I mean, that's where we're at, is putting that information together at this stage. Yeah.
Thank you. I hope nobody minds if I ask a third question. It just pops into my mind listening to you. Because you said, like, yeah, entering the market is not always as easy as one hopes, and especially with electronics and all kind of tech going in the US. What are the hurdles that you foresee that they will put on you? What do you have to do to qualify that you can sell your product in this market? Like, what kind of testing do you have to provide?
Yeah, sure. So up until probably a couple of months ago, there were no FDA approvals for any PET technology. It's just
Meaning, like, anything could be used?
Yeah, so
Okay.
they've actually only just drafted some. So, because I follow it quite closely, they've just started to put protocols in place because of the emerging tech. So I think they're drafting that at the moment. Yeah. So up until now,
So it will be a new landscape that you have to...
it will be a new landscape, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, they're closer, but I'll come back.
Yeah, thanks. Are you looking for collaborators or other help apart from investors at this stage? And
Yeah,
what's
I mean, I think the key thing to us is that shared value of and like that's why I'm here really, is to meet other like minds who are passionate about doing what we're doing. So, you know, if you think there's opportunities, just talk to us, because I don't profess to know all the answers. like this is, you know, the great thing about the whole business journey is it's unknown, right? And it's about people and connections leading you to build and strengthen what you're building, right? So yes, long story short, yes. He hires the people. Yeah.
Just briefly, I was just interested that you didn't have the UK and Europe on that map of markets, and I wondered how that compared to some of the others you'd identified.
The UK one, at the moment, it's on the list. It's just further away. I think when I looked at the UK, you've got a different whole clothing experience there as well, because they generally, you know, need more of a full body wrap for the dog, but also too, they haven't had anything like a thunder shirt. It's quite an entry, you know, like there's quite a bit of an education piece in that part of the world. Not that I'm not keen to look into it. I think it's more that America comes out a little bit more because of the fact the thunder shirt has been through there. So there is this awareness of what dog anxiety is. The UK, the people who bought thunder shirt are now going into the UK. So I think it will grow. But yeah, it's, you know, someone's also mentioned to me earlier tonight, what about South America? So, you know, there are actually quite a few opportunities for us.
There's a follow-up question into that. How, like, is the New Zealand market in comparison, I guess, to America? Like, are you thinking about doing your first, like, kind of trials in New Zealand, but then properly launching into America?
Yeah, so for New Zealand, we're looking more in the vet market initially rather than direct to consumer, just to get that real thorough validation of the tech and endorsement, really. And we're in two minds at the moment as to whether we go into a vet global market or a consumer global market, just until we know what the production process is. You know, the vets might be a bit easier to connect to from the Fair-Free network. Yeah, so.
Thanks, Fiona. You're creating a device you then got to sell out through channels. How are you sort of thinking about creating your first batch, selling, you know, taking profit from that? How are you going to generate your working capital?
So the first goal really is to probably go through the vet clinics as a distribution channel. That's what we're considering at the moment, because we've signed up a vet clinic to be our test group, if you like. So what we want to do is validate that, understand and quantify perhaps some other vet clinics to maybe get some initial orders through there. So I guess to answer your question, what we want to do is get enough orders to get the first production run. And at that point, it might be quite expensive to produce because it's going to be, the volumes that reduce the costs of production. So still working through that really, but that sort of seems to be an easier first place for that initial, because I think we cost it out roughly, we could probably charge around $200, $250 a product or more. Thanks. Because the medication is the other option, right? If you've got a dog who needs medication, there's quite a few out there. It's a good few $100s a month.
We have time for maybe one more question, if there are any more.
There's people online, so we do need to use the mic. Oh, right.
Is there any discernible pattern between the size of the dog and how anxious it gets?
Yes. Well, from most of the observations talking to my vet, they're generally the oodle, poodle, small ones. But then in saying that, you can get some broken bigger ones like the greyhounds, and there are some quite big dogs that can get anxiety, but just run of the mill, it's the oodly poodle ones, yeah. Smaller, medium. Thank you.
Awesome, cool. Thank you so much, Fiona. It's lovely to hear about that. Now it is pitch time. Yay. So it might be maybe you need to advertise for a new job opening. Maybe you need a job. You need a job? Oh, we've got someone to pitch already.
Well, I can do my one first. So, yes.
Oh yeah. We'll have a 1 minute timer up
But
the
I
front.
shouldn't get a timer. All right. So anyway, look, I'm David. I may or may not be her father, but anyway, look, you. So look, you're in Outset Ventures. So what we do here, we incubate deep tech companies. So what's a deep tech company? It's one where it's not just engineering something, you've actually got some fundamental science and things you need to sort out, whether it's chemistry, biophysics, whatever. So we've got quite a wide range of companies that are based here at Outset throughout the building. We've got over 4 floors here, and we're actually getting pretty full now, which is good. So yeah, look, if you're a deep tech company looking for some space that you can turn it into like a real workshop or a real lab, then that's the sort of thing that you can do here. The other thing, one of my little pet projects have been here, we are putting together like a shared engineering space. So as you can imagine, we've got these companies based here, and if they want to make things or build things or whatever, they end up having to make their own lab or buy equipment, and often it's getting stuff from Bunnings or something like that. So what we're looking at doing is building a shared engineering workshop here that companies that are based here can use. But we're also looking at making that available outside of Outset as well. So yeah, that's something that we're working on, and hopefully in the new year we'll have that up and running. Cool, thank you. That's me, and I'm 3, 2, 1. Oh, got my money's worth.
Thank you. So yeah, if you're interested in hearing more about Outset, just go talk to David. Cool. Anyone else want to give a pitch? Like, it could even be just you even have an idea and you're interested in talking to some people who might have some sort of experience there. Cool. Come on up to the front. We have a live stream on this camera here, so they can see you too.
Can you guys hear me all right? Brilliant. Kia ora koutou, ko Mangatotiri te maunga, ko Wakato te awa, ko William toku ingoa. Hey everyone, I'm William. Oh, we've got the timer going already. I work at Kitua Fund, or as my shirt probably lets away, Kitua Fund is the investor venture capital arm of Fonterra. So we launched earlier in the year with a sort of ring-fenced pool of money that Fonterra's been putting aside to really de-risk and invest in the future of A, what our cooperative might look like, but B, sort of help get some technology more in that deep tech space, so moving away from what products we could launch today, more to what does our company look like in 10 years' time. So we're deploying the fund over the next couple of years, so if you're in that sort of food technology space, bioactive space, climate tech space, and that's sort of ringing your bells, then reach out either on our website, Kitua, KITUAfund.com, or sort of come and have a yarn to me afterwards. Done.
Hi, my name's Louis. I'm a patent attorney at AJ Park. We're an intellectual property firm. Just saying that I think there's been a couple of mentions of provisional patent applications tonight. So that is something that we do. We draft those for people and file them with the Patent Office and then argue with the examiners very hard to get you your well-deserved patent. We're engineers and scientists. We're not technically lawyers a lot of the time. Well, I'm not. Some of us are. But the idea is we understand the technology. We talk to you. We kind of know what's up a bit better than a normal lawyer would. And we'll fight on your behalf to get patents. So if you're looking to get a patent, then come and talk to us at some point. There's me and there's also Paul over there who's already... We're both doing some stuff for outset companies already, so come and talk to us. All right.
Awesome. Thank you, Louis. And then we have Vikram.
Hey, Vikram. So we're working on building a platform that democratizes satellite tracking and risk data. We're starting that by building a predictions market for satellite collisions. So that's more software, but to scale those prediction markets, we require a satellite tracking network. So we're prototyping a small personalized satellite tracker that we sell, and in exchange for the data that people farm for us, we reward them. So that's kind of the gist of it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. All right, so now I have Kimberly here with me from Denison Technologies. So Kimberly, tell us about yourself and what you do.
Hi, thanks Michaela, and thank you David for having us here. So I'm Kimberly Banyers, the co-founder and CTO of Denison Technologies. I co-founded the company with my husband over there in the NASA jacket, Anvil. He's just come back from a trip with our prototype that we recently made. We've got a video as well of the prototype. So the company is, we create wearable artificial muscles that can do like what human muscles can, but you can wear it to increase your mobility or, so it's an artificial muscle that we call Oriflex. So this special material is light activated. So you shine light into this really thin material and it contracts like human muscle. So very similar to how our own muscles contract. And you can layer this really thin material. We've got some photos and videos of how it works. It's super lightweight, ultra slim, cost effective, and it's flexible as well. It induces force similar to muscle. Lots of optimization still to go, but we've been able to actually demonstrate that this is not just something that works in the lab. It actually has a useful function in wearable technology and more.
Awesome. So how are your products made, I guess? And I guess you kind of described a bit of how they work, but how are they made?
So they're made through polymerization chemistry. So you take a bunch of chemicals, monomers and additives, and you combine it all together into this polymerization technique, so similar to how plastics are made, essentially, and it can be as cheap as plastic in bulk manufacturing, not at this stage, pretty expensive, but yeah, it's mass producible, so it's a really simple way to make it, and then you just have LED arrays or a light source to deliver light energy for stimulation. So this is, did you want to me to talk about this slide?
Go ahead, yes.
So the reason why the company started was because Anvil, my husband and co-founder, he really wanted to do something for his father who has polio on his left leg. So all his life he's had to wear crutches, and you can see the muscle degradation on his left leg. And the current solution for a disability like his is to have these super bulky exosuits to enable you to actually move your leg. But these can cost upwards of $100,000, and if you can't afford it, it can't help you. And also they're very bulky, also quite noisy, and it's the first thing that you're going to see on a person. So say someone wanted to go for an interview for a job, and then that's the first thing they will see, and it's like, oh, you might be a health risk or something. You want to get into the bus, you probably won't fit. So it's just really cumbersome, and yeah, people just want to, feel like everyone else. That's really the push to why we needed to find something that was low profile, lightweight, comfortable, wearable, flexible, everything that our new material is. So yeah, why not muscles? We explored, Anvil did explore pneumatics in his fourth year thesis in university, and we found that if you wanted to use pneumatics, they'd be still super bulky. They would be more compliant than rigid motors, for example, but they won't provide the low profile, and it's quite noisy and complex and heavy and bulky. So we want to turn this into something a little bit more like a wetsuit, like literally microns thin, that can layer and like help you move your body for you. Yes, so this is like a really nice render, thank you Scott, of our smart material and a stimulating layer and a shell. That's literally the components that are going to go on top of your clothing. You can see the profile is probably 2.5 millimeters, can probably be even thinner if we optimize the properties of the material, make them stronger so we can have them thinner, improve the LEDs to a 0.3 stimulation layer like a waveguide. So this is basically in action. So those who didn't get to see, this is an old one where it bends towards the light. We now have something that doesn't bend, it contracts linearly. So you can see in real time it's quite fast. It's a really thin material, that one's only 50 microns. We've up to our third version of our material that can do high strain. So our third material is a little bit more like the one on the right, where you shine a light and it linearly contracts, like a rubber that contracts itself under light. So this is our very first prototype that we produced in 2022. This is a 50% scale finger, 3D printed hand. So it's about the size of a baby's hand. So we've been able to move it using really badly soldered LEDs because I'm not a mechatronics engineer, and our 50 micron thin film you can see here, with each unit weighing only 0.01 gram, lifting like over 1,000 times its own weight. So that's our prototype.
That honestly is so impressive.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask, what version is the one over there? What number?
That's our second prototype. This is kind of a prototype. It was a 1 week sprint with a material that wasn't quite there yet, so it never fully worked. But we got it working with a version 3 material literally just hours before this presentation. So we've improved the material really well. That was back in May. And we had a new material in August, thanks to our material scientists who made it happen. So that one's probably, 2. Yeah, creepy finger. And then that's a hand, a full-scale hand. We've got a video coming. Oh, I think it's already playing. Yeah. So this is it in action. You can see that it's a full-sized adult hand, and then it's contracting through the glove itself, just tendon routed along a glove that we've made ourselves. So it's gone a long way, and I'm very grateful for the team that's actually been able to create this and turn it into a reality. And we still have a long way to go to get this on people, to actually help them with their mobility and many more applications. Yeah, that's our material, so you can see how flexible it is and how thin that we were still able to keep it. These LEDs are only 1.2 millimeters thin. We can get down to 0.3 millimeters in future with a bit more R&D and time.
Can I ask, how did you or your husband discover this kind of material? Are you guys materials or mechanical backgrounds?
So Anvil has a mechanical engineering background. I've got a chemical materials process kind of mishmash of a degree.
Well, that sounds like the perfect combo.
I never worked with these kinds of smart materials. It was literally let's read some literature and find out the best one that we can find, and then we went to Outset and pitched for investment, and thankfully that they supported us and supported the vision. That first material actually did not work. It was November, and we already did a few months of R&D, maybe 6-8 months of R&D. We were running out of funding, and we needed to find a material that worked. So we scoured all of literature and came across these light-activated thin films. And with the last few $1,000s in the bank, we just risked it and tried it out. And we're so grateful that it did work. And then used that same material, and after we got more funding, we got a bigger team with a lot more expertise than myself. I don't have a master's or a PhD, but our team does, and they put all the technical knowledge together to create something that you see here.
Awesome. So I guess the journey kind of started with being inspired by Anvil's father, and that. So I guess time-wise, how did the journey look? So you
overnight success.
Overnight success, yeah. I guess you did a bit of research, put together your first prototype. How long did that take?
How long to get to the first prototype? We started the company June 2020. We didn't get any funding or any lab space. We thought we could do it in our house, but you can't order chemicals and send it to your house without raising suspicion. So we really needed Outset to actually help us get started. And we got a lab in March 2021, and then got a prototype 2022 around April. So yeah, it took a while. It's getting faster with more people in, for sure.
Awesome. So then, that's a really impressive journey. How we just going from, I guess that is how companies are made, but it's just so cool to hear how it goes from that idea, and then maybe it didn't work the first time, but then you try it again.
Yeah, you keep trying until it works, and yeah.
Awesome. So what's the future shaping up to look like, and what are you guys pushing towards?
So I think I have a few. Oh, sorry.
Off the keyboard,
That's
Dad.
our team. yeah, so that's Thomas, our material scientist, COO Michael Blackhurst, Anvil Scott, who's here in the room, and Jonathan as well. So the future, this is the progress we've talked about. This was Anvil's prototype in university. And yeah, so where we're going, so basically improving on everything that we've created so far, so making it much faster, stronger, and yeah, a lot more efficient and even slimmer, which is our Auraflex version 2. We're already doing a lot of systems optimization within the company, so like after our 3-month sprint, we basically just took one thing parameter, and then if that worked, okay, run with it. Took the same like approach to the LEDs, one wavelength, run with it. It was just to get a prototype out as soon as we can. And now we've got some time to do a lot more experimentation. So really figuring out where is, like really stress test the material and see where it breaks and where we can improve. And then further on to, yeah, develop potentially, something that people can actually take. So partners that Anvil's made overseas, they're really keen on getting their hands on our Auraflex material and see how it works, to learn from it and to test it and see if it works in their application. So probably developing a lot more in the near future.
So I guess like the company could go like two ways. Like one, it could be like manufacturing this material, and two, it could be actually coming up with products. So which one are you guys more targeted towards, or both? Like they're both pretty good ventures.
I think with such a new technology, you kind of have to prove that it will work in different applications. So for example, if someone from the activewear space really wanted this to, enable people who have, aren't able to move their bodies in a normal, I guess, or easy way, say they have muscle degradation and you want to assist them. So they're not going to take this as it is on a hand or on a gimbal. They're going to want a lot more R&D, so you kind of have to develop the product with the customer. See what their needs are. They come back to us with specifications. We try and make it better for them in their application and do that across different companies and partners. But the long-term goal is we want to be the main supplier of these incredible, flexible, lightweight, compact actuators. So we'll probably create our own manufacturing pilot plant. But yeah, a lot more research to go to get it to that stage, but I think that's where we'll be, yeah.
You might not have the answer to this question, but like how far off do you think that is?
If we're ambitious, we had a transformational map where we looked at where we're going to be in 5 years' time. And the stretch goal was get funding 2024, start that pilot plant basically 2025, and have our first products fully made from this pilot plant at 2027. But yeah, that's all subject to change depending on how things go.
That sounds super exciting. Awesome. Just a funny little insight. So I did mechatronics engineering, and I did a biomechatronics hand project, and this is, mine was terrible. It couldn't pick up any of the objects. So the fact, seeing yours work is incredible.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
I don't think we've tried to pick up anything with it yet.
Mine barely worked in the first place. It would barely move the fingers. So, yeah, you guys have things that actually do things.
Thank you.
Very impressive. Do you need any help from the audience?
Yeah, it'd be great to actually find some people to help us in the journey. So if you have a company and you want to find a lightweight, flexible actuator, come talk to us. If you're looking for a job in the next few months, next year, mid-next year or something, and you're really keen to join a deep tech startup, if you have a mechatronics degree, a materials science degree, software, or our optics, electronics, pretty much, come talk to us and come talk to the team.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, now we are going to open the floor to questions. Now, this person here has been waiting very patiently, so you're going to start us off.
Very cool product. I had a question, but I think it was answered when I saw how your product is put together. But I'll ask this anyway. If that black shielding over the LEDs is broken, and that person that's wearing your device gets exposed to light, do they get muscle contractions, or
The person?
or the I don't know, the device itself? Does it get, is it a specific
Wavelength. Oh,
or
you
just
mean like
any light?
ambient light?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we don't make our materials in the dark. They can be in ambient light and just be fine. They need quite intense, bright light within like a wide band of wavelengths from UV all the way to like bluish. So yeah, it needs a. It can work with a range of wavelengths. They just have to be quite intense to actually activate the material.
Okay, and then, sorry, just a quick follow-up one. Are you able to overlay multiple layers and still have the light go through to the second layer to increase the intensity of the contraption?
You probably can. They do go transparent when you contract the material. But yeah, the active component inside that actually makes it actuate is so potent that it probably won't go all the way through. So you'd need to like sandwich material, light material, and then have light shining top and bottom so that you're irradiating the surface area.
Thanks, Kim. Does this generate much heat? I'm just wondering if it's against someone's skin, if it's generating heat, and or just having that, that garment, if you like, over someone's skin. Do you have cooling in there as well?
Yeah. So our material is light converts to heat, and then this heat enables the material to undergo a phase change and contract. So it does produce heat when it's actuating. It needs that heat in order to actuate. So yeah, it goes up to not a very skin-safe temperature, so we do need to do some more cooling, but you can put a silicone layer underneath. We've already got a housing that keeps it all enclosed. You can even add insulating, like silicone layer or an insulating fabric, and it should be fine. We haven't tested, but it's not super dangerous that it'll burn right through.
I got a really quick. I had a quick follow-up one, which was: is it more light or heat or a combination?
Yeah, that was my question too.
So the light gets converted to heat, and then the heat activates the material.
So, like, how does the human skin, like, that doesn't have any, like, the heat of the skin doesn't have any effect?
It's our skin temperature is around, I don't know, 20-something degrees. It needs to go up to like 90. Yeah, but only for a few seconds.
And those LED lights get that hot?
It's the material that gets hot. So it absorbs all of the photons from the light and then turns all of that light energy into heat energy.
Oh, so it's the material doing the conversion that is what creates the heat?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was the heat from the light. Cool.
Yeah.
Next question.
Hey, such an interesting material. Apologies if you already covered this, but does the material currently contract a similar amount to muscles?
To human muscle? Human muscle contracts around 20 to 30% strain. We can do around about that. That's more of the high end at the moment, but we're averaging at around 13%, but we've definitely found some samples go up to 30%. It's just optimizing how you prepare the sample to achieve higher strain.
So you should be able to achieve similar motions. by the sounds.
Yes,
That's awesome.
for sure.
Cool.
Any more questions? Okay. Oh, I made a bad choice here. It's fine.
Safety hazard. I wrote them all up. Give me a moment. So, I mean, okay. I know it's a early stage development, so obviously nothing is yet in the product space yet, but how durable are your actuators? Like, how many cycles can they go through? Is there a level of degradation, especially when you say they're bombarded with photons? Is there a problem there?
Yeah, so we've done some tests, fatigue tests, with the time that we have had in the past 3 months. So we focused on just getting a product and see if it works. So we've done a few samples up to about 1,200 cycles and no breakage. We want to obviously find out where that limit is, and 10,000 is our next milestone, and then our ultimate target is 1 million cycles or more, but we're yet to find with more testing.
Thank you very much. And the second one would be like, we know that LEDs are very energy efficient in a certain way, but still you need batteries. I mean, I have no idea how much force or how much you can pull with those muscles, but if you want to help somebody, let's say lightweight exoskeleton, what kind of battery would you need that a person can run a day operating his hand?
Full day. So
Like, let's say 8 hours, like, so they can do their everyday task.
Can I get Scott to answer this question? Do you want to come up?
Hang on. Oh, no.
I'm done.
I made a bad choice here. Hang on. Keep that. Here we go, Scott. This is Scott, everyone. Hey, Scott.
Hey, I'm Scott. So we have here, we could run, so we don't have the numbers for a hand, but for running a hand setup that can pull 10 kgs, which is quite a lot.
10 kgs?
Yeah, we could run for an hour off a battery that's 290 grams. That's what we're kind of projecting. So at the moment, we're quite inefficient and quite big. But yeah, eventually that's, so we'll hopefully be, what's a comparable? I think like camera batteries are comparable to that. So yeah, hopefully kind of a camera battery to power a hand for about an hour of continuous use. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks. Any more questions? Here you go, Zane.
I was just wondering, in terms of the like actuation speed, like what is that kind of looking like? You were talking about like moving 10 kgs, but how like often can you move that 10 kgs?
Yeah, so
with
at the
actuator?
moment, they're not super fast. They take 20 seconds to do this and about 30 seconds to reverse. So the main issue there is because we need to cool it down fast and heat it up even faster. So that's what we're currently working on. We're going to try probably like 10 different things and try them all together and see which one works. There's a lot of development that's happening still in the research phase. So how we see it, it's a deep tech challenge on top of a deep tech challenge. But once we get that, I think that's going to be, the cooling system will be a product in itself potentially for cooling electronics in a low profile fashion. Yeah.
Thank you.
What are you actually using at the moment to cool it?
Air. The
Like a fan?
surrounding air, not even the fan just yet.
Cool.
We're working on it.
I've got two questions, but the first one is, you mentioned that the heat is the main element, I suppose light and then exchange the heat. So if that's the case, does the ambient temperature have any impact?
So yes, so the temperature of the ambient air, so yeah, to actuate it, it needs to reach a certain threshold. The closer you are to that threshold, the faster actuation will be, and the greater that delta T temperature changes, the slower it's gonna reach that temperature. So in cold environments, it might work slower than in a hotter environment.
Right. Okay. If that's the case, right, you're basically heating and cooling it multiple times, right, repetitively. A lot of materials are, they don't really like that. So how durable is it, or in terms of form retention,
So how many cycles it can do before breaking. So that was similar to the question earlier with the fatigue life. So that's the engineering test to see how many cycles can it do that rapid cooling and heating until it basically breaks. We've done 1,200 cycles and hasn't broken. We want to test it over a series of loads. So put the material under a lot of weight and then do that cycling over and over until it breaks, or until it reaches a certain number that you're happy with, and then add the load some more, and then see the new breaking cycle. Sorry.
Awesome, thank you. I know there's quite a few more questions, but we're going to wrap it up with that there. But we can all hang out afterwards, and Kimberly and her whole team is here, so I'm sure you can ask them plenty of questions and see their demo. So sweet, thank you so much for sharing your guys' story with us.
Thanks for having us.
So that is the end of today's hardware meetup. Once again, thank you to our sponsors, Blackbird, Blender, Hudson Gavin Martin, and Outset. I hope you all had as an amazing time as I did, and looking forward to getting to chat to all of you afterwards and network. Sweet. Have a great night.